Welcome to Mars' Space Pod. It's a new year, and today we're going to be exploring the realms of innovation and positive change. Our guest is Dominic Adams, also known as Gentle Tornado. He's a beacon of positivity and an absolute proponent of emotional change. He founded the Hype Foundation, which is a movement dedicated to empowering teenagers, not just to survive, but to thrive. Under his guidance, the foundation nurtures emotional intelligence, fuels positivity, and inspires change amongst our teenagers. Dominic believes in the power of positivity to change lives. And today he is here with us to share his journey, his insights, and the impact of his remarkable work. So sit back and enjoy this conversation with my friend, Dominic Adams, a gentle tornado, the man making positivity louder in our world. Happy New Year and welcome to the show, Dom. How you been?
I'm doing great. Blessed to be here. Grateful. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. So glad to have you. Looking forward to this. Been waiting for the moment to get you on camera for a while. I'd
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. We're riding, right? We're riding.
We are always riding. We are always riding.
So today, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce you to people that may not know you and get your, mission and everything you're all about out there to more people. What you're doing is absolutely amazing. It's inspiring. But I'd really like to start the story back when you were at Snap-on, and I want to know when you were working for them, producing them crazy videos that you were posting out on Twitter and doing all of that stuff. Like, what about that job made you, more positive and made you want to continue this forward in especially our space, Web3?
Yeah. Man, Snap-on was a crazy journey. I worked there for 9 years, and I hated it pretty much every single day. And at the beginning of the job, I brought that home a lot. Probably for the first year or two, I really brought my negative emotions and my just like that hate energy for it. And I realized that that just couldn't happen because I was the provider for my family. And so I needed to completely shift my perspective. And that's when I started writing in a gratitude journal. I got introduced to Gary Vee. That was a huge thing that changed my life. I went through some leadership courses that helped change my life, but I really started writing a gratitude journal every single day. And I just realized that, yeah, I might hate this job, but I love my life. Like, I'm so grateful for my life. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for my family and the things that really matter. And that was kind of the journey into flipping what I didn't enjoy about that job into positives and into gratitude and into, focusing on the good in my life, because I just knew that at some point, I would get out of the Snap-on. I wouldn't be doing that forever because it wasn't what I wanted to do or I felt like I was supposed to do. And then, I'd kind of always posted videos for probably about 6 years, but not that serious. I didn't ever take it serious. And then Web3 rolled around, and the idea, not even the idea, but the fact that you could create a community of people that really were on the same wavelength, wanted the same goals. Some people wanted to see each other win. And I loved that. Like, I've always been a team. I played
It's
sports my
awesome.
entire life. Yeah, I love sports, team player. Yeah, I love lifting people up. And so that was kind of like, oh man, let's just start creating, videos and content, and just be positive and share my energy, because, my life goal has always been to just share my energy that I've been gifted with the world. And so that's how it started.
Those videos were amazing too, but you hit on a topic there, your gratitude journal. Like, what made you like make that move and start writing in a gratitude journal? Because that is like some of the most tweeted out stuff that you talk about, and you've spoke about it on Saturday morning cartoons and all of that, about how it monumentally changed your life. So tell me, like, what brought you to actually putting that pen to paper?
Yeah, I just I didn't know what else to do. I'd done, those training classes I was talking about. I'd been following Gary Vee. I'd been following other motivational people, and it just wasn't working. And so I realized that I had to make a change. Like, I had to figure it out, because I could do all these things, I could listen to all these things, but if I wasn't making change within my own life, there was no way I was going to get to where I wanted to be as far as just on a happiness level. I think a lot of people, 99% of the world thinks that success, leads to happiness, and it's the other way
A-
around. Happiness leads to
Absolutely.
success. And so I just started writing in a gratitude journal. And so it taught me a few things. It taught me to be grateful every day. And I kind of just used it as a diary too. I just wrote what I was feeling that day, and maybe with the hardships that I had encountered, but also it was consistency, it was discipline, and it wasn't judging myself, because there were several times where, I wrote in the journal for 5 years. Different, I had multiple journals because I had done it every single day for 5+ years. And, if I missed a day, I would just do two entries the next day. And so when you're doing something like that to better your life, and you're writing in a journal, or you're doing something that's supposed to be every single day, like, you can't judge yourself, because the goal is not to do it every single day. The goal is to be more grateful. And so we get lost in society by focusing on the wrong things and kind of being reactive. And I took the proactive approach of like, okay, even sometimes where I was sick, I might have missed 3 days. Okay, well, I need to catch this up. I need to do 4 entries that next day to catch up on every single day that I missed. And yeah, that just cemented gratitude into my life. And I think gratitude is the most important thing that is in the world, to be honest.
It's amazing. Like, more people should do this, right? They say, basically, if you live it, it happens, right?
Yeah.
And I know that, not everything is roses all the time. You've gone through some of the biggest struggles I've seen. And, somehow you keep ending up on top. You'll get back there. Everything's going to work out for all of us in the end. When you're motivated and you're positive and you have that outlook, it's just a wonderful thing. And, what more can you ask for than the love of a family and, community, all of that. But
Yeah.
you brought up, the way you feel about Gary Vee and the following. And I mean, you've had opportunities, but we'll get to them a little bit later. But bringing that up, how did VeeCon, the first VeeCon, like, emotionally spark you to create the Hyped Foundation? Because I heard that had something to do with, the Hyped Foundation's beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd worked with teens for quite some time, probably about 5 years. And I just never knew, how to make money out of that. Right. I didn't want to like create something that I would sell to parents, and, like a course or anything. I kind of just wanted to help kids. Like, that was kind of my niche that I felt like I had, but I'd done nothing with it. Right. I work in, I don't even know, 70, 80 hours a week. There was not a lot of time. Well, when Web3 rolled around, excuse me, when Web3 rolled around, I got real serious about, not playing video games, not watching TV, chasing my dreams at night, in the morning, waking up at 4 a.m. And I was like, listen, I play video games when I'm 50 or 60 or something like that. I got to chase my dreams, because the reason I think that I ended up not enjoying my job, there was a lot of things, but it was really because I felt like it wasn't what I was supposed to do. Like, I just woke up every day and was like, this is not what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to sell tools to mechanics. I'm supposed to do something with the energy that I've been gifted with. And I just couldn't figure that out. Well, then I just started working on my brand. So anyways, fast forward to Gary and VeeCon and the V Friends. And when I bought my V Friend, it was just basically a buy to believe in Gary. I just believed in Gary because of what he had done in my life and transform my business and stuff like that. But when VeeCon 1 rolled around, it was incredible. Got to connect with so many different people from Canada, different countries, in different states. And it was, the relationships that were created in 2.5 days were truly magical. But the last day, Gary gave a speech at the very end of VeeCon, and it was all about making positivity louder. And, he said, none of this matters unless we make positivity louder. And I just remember that hit me so hard. I have goosebumps right now, literally telling you. And I just thought, man, I'm just not doing enough. And I looked at my buddy Dan, and I was like, Dan, we're not doing enough. But really, I just said, no, I'm not doing enough. And the next week, I started a podcast, and I started getting real invested into making positivity louder. And I felt like he was talking directly to me. And so yeah, that was kind of the start of a monumental journey in my life, for sure.
Where did it switch from making positivity louder to the crisis that we're facing with our youth and our teens? Like, where did that switch? Where did it click? You had that aha moment and knew, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. So, it probably took like 9 or 10 months of just consistently building my brand and putting in the work and showing up every day and providing value for people and just being relentless. And I just always had the mindset of being undeniable. What can I do to be undeniable with this brand built around positivity, built around gratitude, built around things that aren't cool, right? What can I do to be undeniable? Okay, so then I started doing Gratitude Day videos, right? And, fast forward, I'm on gratitude day 664, right? That's undeniable. That's something that's undeniable. People can't take that away from me, right? That I've done that every single day in a row. I've posted a video. It doesn't matter about the engagement. It matters about the, what I'm doing, right? And I'm living what I'm speaking about. Well, then I got a call in December of last year, and it was from one of the biggest companies in the world. And they were like, hey, we want you to launch a collection on our marketplace that's coming out. And I just remember being like, I don't want to be a founder. I told the guy on the phone who's like a manager of the company, I was like, I don't want to be a founder, man. That's not what I want to do. Like, I don't want to start a collection. That's not what I feel like I'm supposed to do. And then I had someone in my life reach out to me, and we were talking about it. And he said, why don't you start a nonprofit for teens? And I was like, wow. Then it all clicked. So I called back that company and I was like, hey, I'll launch a collection, but it's going to be a nonprofit. It's going to be for teen mental wellness. And here's what we're going to do. And I told him, and he loved it. And so then that was kind of my sign from God to leave my job. And I was like, okay, this is it. Like, if this company is reaching out to me to do this, this is a top company in the world. I think I should chase it. And so I gave my dad like a 5-month notice, and I was going to leave in April. And yeah, so that was kind of the start of it all coming together. And then I realized, okay, what do I want to focus on? I'd always wanted to be proactive about the issues that youth faces, because 99% of the world just is reactive, and they focus on the end thing that happens, which, in our case happens to be suicide. But, the fact of the matter is there's, before that, the emotional intelligence these kids lack, they just don't understand gratitude. They don't know what positivity is. They don't know how to be kind, because either their parents aren't teaching them, social media is an influence, or they don't have good influences in life, right? The top influencers, in quotes, right, in the world aren't a good example, right? They're not authentic, they're not genuine, there's no accountability. And when you have that at the top, that trickles down everywhere, right? And then parenting is at an all-time low. And so that's just another topic.
So, so speaking of that, many of us have followed your journey. You've been completely transparent, and I have to believe that Braxton's health has influenced your positivity and the way that all of this is focused. Yeah. For those that don't know, just share a little bit about that and tell how it's impacted you and made this mean that much more to you, because I gotta believe that it has. Like, that's some amazing stuff there. Like watching your son just like light up and climb onto counters now when you're not paying attention.
Yeah. So, first of all, in my life, it's God, my wife, and then a dad. And then everything else is after. Right now, it's a foundational leader, being a good person. And so, my kids are, my wife is the most, God, wife, and then my kids, right? So I take a lot of pride in being a good dad and just caring about my kids and pouring into them. And so our youngest son, Braxton, we have three children, and our youngest son, Braxton, at 11 months got, I diagnosed, or, I don't know how to put it, but with this thing called vertical talus, this condition. And basically what it is the bone in your ankle is supposed to be vertical, and his was horizontal. So his feet kind of turned out, in a kid, kids look weird, right? Like their body parts look weird. You don't ever I don't know. We would have never thought anything was wrong. And someone at our church was like, hey, I think you should check his feet out. Anyways, turns out he has that. One of the hardest things about the journey was that it's so rare that a lot of doctors haven't worked on something like this. And it's very similar to clubfoot, which is very common, but it's completely opposite of clubfoot. And so, yeah. So
I had it when I was a kid, clubfoot, but this, obviously it's corrected over time, not definitely.
So anyway, it was a real tough journey, and to, watch your son go and get casts every single week and just scream, because he had to get a new cast every week, and scream and cry every single time he would get a cast. And then he had to get a second cast on his other foot. So it started off with just one of his feet, and then it was his second foot. And, those are types of things that you just never forget. My wife crying, us crying at night. We just didn't know, how to deal with it. And through all of that, Braxton was happy every single day. Like the light that he would give off to the world. And that's why I started sharing his journey, because I was like, I don't even know. I'm so overwhelmed with his light that I have to share it with other people, because there's just nothing that gets this kid down. Like, yeah, he was crying during getting casts on. After that, he's fine. And so it was just, yeah, it's why I do everything. I do everything for my kids. And in a selfish way, like I want to help children now. I want to help teenagers now so that when my kids get older, they're come into a world that's better. Because right now the world is not it's not good. It's not nice. And um, so yeah, that ups, every week having to go see that. And I was just grateful that I had left my job at Snap-on so demanding that I could be around for that journey. And that's something that I hold, very, very close to my heart. Now he's running and already and stuff like that. So it's emotional, man. It's emotional every time I just don't even know what to think when I like look at him. It's just crazy that he's been through this journey and he's not even 2.
I remember that image that you posted with all the casts in him. Like, it was just amazing, and it really set tone to like how much he went through. And I'm sorry that Braxton had to go through all of that, but I love his attitude and how happy he always appeared to be, and I'm glad that he is now up and moving, and everything's moving in a positive direction.
Yeah.
And
And
just
well, sorry, one more thing is that this is something that I've done in my life a lot with me, and me and my wife really have adopted this way of thinking. But that life happens for us, not to us, and we get to experience this. And that was really hard, right? Because when your kid, especially your kid, is going through something that you can't help them with, like you can't take the pain away. It was like, okay, this is happening for us. What can we do to embrace this situation? And yeah, his condition, and I appreciate you saying sorry, was so tough. But there's people in the world that don't have clean water, and so that's a perspective thing. It's like, well, no, this is happening for us for some reason. To see, to watch Braxton be so resilient, and then to think about, okay, how can we be better? Like, how can we help other people, and
100%.
embrace that.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree with that. There's always people out there that got it worse than we do and struggle way more than we do. We might think that our struggles are so powerful, and in reality, they're minute, right?
Yeah.
They're so tiny compared to what the rest of the world is facing. But speaking of your family and those beliefs, just touch quickly on, because you've already mentioned some of this, like your family, your faith, and like the mentoring teenagers. Like, now that you're involved in all of that, like, how is that shaping you to move forward?
Yeah, so I've definitely always been religious. We stopped going to church probably when I was like 11 or 12. And it was just an excuse that we used because I played so many sports. And so as I went through my life, I never was really involved in church at an older age. But when me and my wife got together, we really wanted to find a church and a good community to be a part of. And it took us probably about 3 or 4 years of our marriage to find our church that we go to now. And it's just it's a special place that we get to go to every Sunday, and we get to be a part of the community. Um, and I think like this journey, sorry,
It's all right, man.
this journey with the foundation, like I never would have been able to go through it if it wasn't for that community, if it wasn't for the people around me, if it wasn't for God, and just like believing that it's gonna work. And it's rough right now. Like, listen, I'm positive, but it's really rough right now. Like, we are super tight. We're just going through these battles, but I just know that it's gonna work out. I just tell people that, like, I have so much conviction in my belief that it's gonna work out because of my faith. And now I get to raise my family in a church, and my kids get to be around other kids that at least have good, strong morals. I'm like 57 days straight in the Bible, reading the Bible straight. And like, I've never done that. I hate reading. I'm an audiobook guy, but I'm physically reading and writing notes and just committing to that example. And so where that takes me to helping kids is, it's an interesting thing because over the years, like I said, I've always been religious, but I've never forced it on anybody. But I live it. It is who I am. I'll tell people that, but I'll never force it to, especially to a kid, right? Especially when you're working in schools, you have to be very careful about what you say, but it is a part of me, right? And so I get to lead by example, and I get to be, to live this way. And that's profession to people. It's like, look, this is how I live. I'm not just this guy walking around saying this. I actually do these things and live by this. And one of the or my pastor, he said that one of the most powerful things that impacted me was like, if being a Christian was a crime, would you be convicted? And that's kind of how I've always thought about life, was like, if don't talk about it, be about it, is something that I live by. And it's just because you have to be that example, and we lack that in society and in the world. And so when you are an example and you do have a strong word, those things are powerful, and those things are way more powerful to children and to youth because they don't see it. They don't see it often. And so I know I'm going off a tangent, but one of the best questions I've ever been asked was, how do you teach confidence? Like, do you have a course for that when you're helping these kids? And I was just like, wow, that's a really good question, but I don't. The way that I show confidence is by showing up for these kids every single week or every day or whatever, when I work with them, and being me and having that confidence in myself and in the way that I live, and presenting the things that I focus on with our foundation in a confident way. And in just 3 to 5 weeks, depending on the situation, you could completely transform a kid's confidence. And it's actually so true, and you can watch it happen, and it's incredible. And that's why our foundation is so important to help these kids, because it's almost just like little perspective shifts that especially teenagers need to really transform their life.
Absolutely. What you do is incredibly powerful, and it's all about practicing what you preach, right? Like,
Yeah.
you want to be a good role model for everybody. Touching on that topic, it had to be rough when you went through that Twitter account suspension. You're still facing that.
Yeah.
The struggle is real. It probably changed everything for the Hype Foundation.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like, your goal there was set to explode, and then this unfortunate event happened.
Yeah.
And I want to know how that affected you, and what steps you've taken to get over it and move past it, because it is all about being positive.
Yeah. So, man, that was tough. That was so in July. It happened at the end of July. I had really we lost our deal. We didn't really lose our deal. The marketplace that we had partnered with had delayed so long that we realized we need to raise capital somehow for the foundation, and it was not going to be through this marketplace that we had had a partnership with. And so that was a tough pill to swallow, right? Because we were supposed to raise anywhere from $500,000 to $700,000 for the foundation. And then the account went down, and it was weird, man. It was, at first I wasn't worried at all. I was like, okay, I'll get it back. I have, some good connections that have already reached out to me that want to help me. And then I realized the next week that I wasn't going to get it back for a while. And so that's like a battle of emotions, because then you go through an emotion where, X's algorithm is pretty poor. And so, like, people don't even know you're gone, right? Like, people don't know you're gone. They don't hit you up. And so then you start to think like, okay, does anybody even know that I'm gone? And that's a dangerous emotion to feel. And I don't like that. And it's not why I did anything on my account was to be loved or anything. It was just to provide value. And so you're battling these emotions because you put so much time, and there's so much legacy to your account. And, I still didn't miss a gratitude day. I just did them on the foundation account, but that's a huge mental battle. And so I was probably down for a week, it really just battling my own head of just what am I supposed to feel right now? What is this supposed to be like? Why would this happen? People don't even know about the 4 a.m. jamming for 2 hours, saying what's up to people on Spaces for 10 hours a day while I'm working at Snap-on. And that, I was the way that I felt when it happened was I'm not doing this again. I'm not putting this 16-hour days into an account. And anyways, there was lots of things, but the coolest part was learning from it. Right. And like you said at the very beginning, when you asked the question, was the positives. Well, one positive was that I realized that I wasn't as present with my kids as I thought I was. And so that was incredible to realize, and to get to really start focusing on spending quality time with them, because I thought I was, but I was not. And then really just prioritizing different things, like why wasn't I posting my gratitude day videos on TikTok and on Instagram every day? Like, why wasn't I doing that? It's just it's not necessarily a simple thing to do, but it's just kind of silly. Like, who
No,
knows
right?
what could have
Yeah.
happened?
Growing that
And
audience and being in more
yeah,
places could have,
yeah,
helped out. So we learn,
yeah,
right? Keep
yeah.
going.
And so I go through all those emotions. I get out of it. I feel fired up. I'm just going to keep going. That's all I can do is just keep going and do what I do. And the reason I think that it really ended up not hitting me that hard, and it still is tough because it's a crutch, right? Like, I had a very good account and I was doing well, but I realized that, like, with the foundation, it's not going to be successful just because of X. It's going to be successful because we blow up on Instagram and on TikTok and these other platforms. YouTube, I've posted YouTube shorts for probably 7 months straight, and the
That's doing really
vision,
well.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, and the vision especially for the foundation, not just only for my personal brand, but for the foundation is so big that, like, it almost was like, yeah, like, whatever, the account's gone. Like, I'm just going to I'll just go viral on TikTok or whatever. Like, one video on TikTok that goes viral could change the brand forever. And so it just allowed me to realize a lot of things that I basically should have been doing, but I wasn't doing. And just kept pushing forward. And I'm not going to lie, like, it wasn't easy. It was a tough journey for sure during a period of, like, real rough things and just going through that and not having a ton of people that really understood. Like, you almost can't understand it until you lose an account. Like, you don't know what that feels like, because, like, everybody, not just me, everybody has poured into their account in some way. And so, I don't know. It was definitely, I shared videos of me crying. I shared a ton of videos. Like, it was just a rough experience, but I got through it and I'm positive, and now I'm working on different platforms and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I mean, there's always a silver lining in everything. And, it happens, like I said, for us, not to us. And you just got to find those lessons and keep pushing forward, because, like, at the end of the day, if we get to wake up in the morning, I mean, we've already won. And so we just got to keep going, whatever life throws at us. So, like, we just got to get back up.
I want to touch on something you said real quick from my side. And I'm sure that you've heard this, but we knew that you were missing, and I couldn't find you. Like, I went searching and I'm like, where is, GT? He's
Yeah.
always all over my timeline. And, I did end up, finding the other account like 3 weeks later, and I asked other people, and, like, it really is that type of world. It disappears out of your feed. And,
Yeah.
when you get used to talking to somebody and communicating with them, it's hard to get that back. So I want you to know that some people were actively looking for you, and it may have
I
taken them a
appreciate
little
that.
longer to find you. But I did reconnect with your foundation account, and I'm so happy that I did.
Thank you.
So following up this, suspension of the Twitter account, something good did happen to you. You went for your second journey to VeeCon, and you got to open up the stage for them. So just briefly tell me, like, what lessons did you learn from that second trip there and being able to open up VeeCon? Like, that's a huge ordeal.
Yeah. So I feel like for a really long time, probably 10 plus years, I've wanted to be some sort of motivational speaker. It's been a big dream of mine. And when I got the call from V Friends, it was kind of, it was a wild experience. Daniel, the community manager, reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, do you have time for a call?" And this was, like, right after I left my job. And so I would have never been able to take the call if I didn't leave my job. So it's another part of the story that's kind of crazy. And it was like 11 a.m. on a Tuesday or something. And so I just thought, like, the V Friends community at that point was a little divided. And so I was like, maybe we're going to talk about the community or something. I don't know what this is about. And so we talked for like 30 minutes, right? We were just shooting the shit. And then he's like, "Okay, this is why I really called you." So I'm like, "Okay, cool. Like, let's get into it." And he's like, "We want you to open up VeeCon with a keynote." And I was like, is it a joke? Like, are you kidding? And he was like, "No." And I just, like, did one of those things where you sit back and I put my hands behind my head and I was like, wow, I didn't even know what to think. I was, like, so humbled that they would ask me to do that. And it's so honored. Like that's an honor to do, to open up the conference, and for Gary and the VeeFriends brand to trust me to go up on that stage and say whatever I want. Like I could talk about whatever I want. There was no stipulations to what I would keynote about. It was just keynoting about me and my journey. And that was a part of the journey that I really realized, like, man, I think this is going to work. Like this is, I'm already believing myself, but I was like, wow, like I'm literally opening up a conference for one of the biggest entrepreneurs in the world. And the people that were speaking there too, I was like, man, there is no reason that I should be opening this conference. And even the people on the community stage, absolute all stars. I was just like, I loved every single one of them. I was like, the speakers that spoke at VeeCon were insane, man. Like the speaker list was crazy. And so the fact that I opened it, is something that I can leverage forever. And something that could, I haven't focused on my speaking career, but it's definitely there. It's definitely something I want to do. I know what I'm going to speak about. And, that's a leverage point that I have, is that I spoke for that conference and I was opening it. And so, yeah, I was unbelievable accomplishment, or just part of the journey. It's just incredible.
Getting to that level is definitely something extra special. And I've believed in you for a long time. And I'm glad that really took you to the next level of believing in yourself. It's really an honor having you here with me right now.
Thank you.
And I just feel like, doing that, like you said, for Gary Vee, that's like next level, man. And like you're there. It's just going to take the world time to, see it and catch up. But now for the moment that like I really want the audience to hear about, we've been talking about the backstory getting to this point. I really would like you to tell me and the audience more about the Hype Foundation, your main goals, the kind of activities and programs you're creating for these teenagers, their mental health, how you're going to push this forward. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you. So the Hype Foundation is on mission to empower teens to thrive by nurturing emotional intelligence, fueling positivity, and inspiring growth. And really, we are just focused on elevating, supporting, educating, and just being there for these kids. It's something that I just know is so powerful. I volunteered about 5-6 years ago on a lot of teen leadership courses, and that absolutely just changed my life. And I know that I can just connect with teenagers. So I was like, how do I figure out how to show these kids that they can be so powerful? They have it in them. They can do it through gratitude and positivity and accountability and self-awareness and all these skills that a lot of times you may not ever learn, or you learn at just a way later stage of your life. And these are things that you just have to have. Like you just have to have them to be at a level in your life to be either happy or successful or whatever you care about. And so we are just focused on taking a really proactive approach in mental health, where we really just focus on educating and lifting people up. And that's something that's truly special within teenagers. When you show up for them, it's something special to watch them realize that you're there for them. And when you actually show up and you mean it and you're there and you lead by example and you say these things and then you do them and you're educated on those things. And so we have a lot of plans, a lot of big plans, but our first 3 plans, one of them is called Gratitude Growth. And that's our first initiative that we want to have in schools, and we will have in schools. And it's just creating a culture around gratitude and showing kids how powerful it is to be grateful. And that's a 10-week curriculum course where we give each student a gratitude journal and, end up gamifying gratitude, right? Where we reward them for writing in the journal or completing a course or doing different things. And, I don't really love to gamify things, but I understand it. And I understand that it can get kids to do things. And if it's writing in their gratitude journal 10 days in a row, well, let's say it's writing in their gratitude journal 30 days in a row. I just know the positive benefit of that, not only from me, but by the people that I've talked to that write in journals. And so I know that they'll then want to write in the journal. And that's kind of the ultimate thing, is not only are we going to educate them, do different processes with them, be vulnerable with them, but that is our first initiative that is very, very important, especially to me, and just showing them the real power and kind of getting the dirt. A lot of people have asked me if we're going to do like assemblies or like big things like that. And I'm just like, yes, I'm sure we will, but like we want to be in the dirt. Like I want to be in the classroom with these kids, educating them and really showing up and showing them the power of it by leading by example.
That is
And
so special. So
yeah,
special right there.
thank you.
Touching. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's very touching.
No, thank you so much. And you know, one thing about our foundation that's really powerful, and I think is kind of like our secret sauce. I don't even know how to explain it, but is vulnerability. Vulnerability is really like our cornerstone of our foundation. And that's something that I've been blessed with, is to just be naturally vulnerable. Like, I basically don't know how to not be vulnerable. I tell anybody anything about my life. I'm pretty honest. Like, as far as like maybe some personal things with me and my wife, but other than that, I pretty much just am honest and tell people everything. About what's going on in my life, because I want them to feel safe when we're in a conversation. And when
I
you're vulnerable,
I think it's one of
so,
the reasons you're loved most, man, because you're totally transparent. Like we live this life with you. You share
yeah,
so much.
yeah. Oh, thank you so much. And I want people to feel this way. You know what I mean? Like I understand the fact that people go through life and we're taught to suppress our emotions, especially as men, but just everybody is taught to suppress their emotions. And it's like you're going to get judged regardless of what you do. You're going to get judged. So why not be yourself? Why not be honest and vulnerable? And listen, I've been hurt by close friends. I've lost family members, all kinds of stuff, but I would never change anything, because I'm being honest and I'm being my true self, and authentically who I am. And so when you do that with kids, that's how you grab anybody's heart, but especially teenagers. And if you can grab their heart and renovate it and help them and show them, like, look, I'll tell you my dark things that happen in my life, and I'll be honest with you, and then they'll share back. And it's something that's truly special. And I would say a lot of people, aren't vulnerable. And so they've never seen that. And they've never seen kids. Dude, I've had kids tell me things in the first time meeting them that they've never told anybody. And that's just because I make them feel safe. And that's what we want. That's our whole mission with the foundation. So if we can create a safe place where these kids can come and talk, I mean, we've already won. We can already increase their emotional intelligence and their life by so much. And so anyways, that leads me to my next two things that we're really focused on for the beginning of the year is hyped huddles and hyped fest. So twice a month, I want to host like a meetup, and that's what's going to be hyped huddles. And it's kind of just a hangout session. We'll definitely have some, not like curriculum, but maybe some speakers, maybe some people come in, entrepreneurs that talk about business and stuff. Maybe we have a theme for different meetups, and really just create like a 6 to 7 hour hangout session for just kids to hang out, come be in a safe place, talk about life. Like, we can all just hang out and talk about things and grow and be together. And I think that's going to help a lot. I've been asked a lot from a lot of parents of like, hey, what can my kids do to like be around you? I was like, well, we don't have a brick and mortar yet or anything. But it's like, oh, well, if we have 2 events every single month, bring your son, bring your daughter to that event, drop them off, they'll hang out. And then Hype Fest is once a month or once a quarter is what we're going to focus on. But I really want to transition it to once a month. But once a quarter, we're going to do like an event where we bring teens together, and it's going to be free for them. And it'll be like a band and and pizza and drinks and stuff, and just a hang out and a good time for kids to get together, man, and just get to know each other in the Las Vegas area, especially. It's something I'm really excited for. Just creating a good energy with kids and playing games and stuff, and kids getting to know each other that wouldn't have known each other if they didn't, hear of our foundation or something like that. So those are the three things that we're really focused on right now. And, on top of that, it's to create a really big social presence. There's a lot of foundations that do a lot of work with the youth, and they just don't do social media. And I think that is like a super strength. Like, basically, like a lot of parents and a lot of people that look down on mental health within the youth, they don't like social media because they think it's damaging, which it can be if the kid's not properly knowledgeable. But it is a free tool for us to get our message out. And so then ultimately for us to be in different states and even different countries, I mean, that's the goal, right? Is to be everywhere, to be in every state, in every country, helping these kids. And so that's what social media allows us to do. And it also allows us to raise more money, right? And to get our mission out there, because the louder we get about positivity, the louder we get about kindness and accountability, like those things are going to become cool. And that's one of our missions, to make these things cool. Like
Also,
I'm a dope dude. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to underplay it, right? This might not sound, people that might not know me, I'm definitely really humble, but like, I'm cool. Like, I know how to be cool. And so when I'm positive and kind and accountable, it's like, no, like these things are cool. And I'm cool. So I'm going to show you, like, you can be cool too and have these things, right? And so I think that's something that's really powerful, that we're really working on painting a picture around, especially around our social media.
what you're doing with all this is absolutely amazing. And it brings me back to something you said as you started talking about this. One of the key things is making genuinely, really caring, making them feel comfortable, making them feel appreciated, being there for them, just listening when they need somebody to listen. It changes the whole outlook for the teens that, are out there struggling today. Like, it really does. Like, just the impact of being there and supporting someone and actually wanting to do it, like, changes it. They can sense whether or not people are being genuine or not genuine, and they open up to the people that are being genuine. And your whole mission, the whole foundation, what you're building and striving to get to, is absolutely game changing for them, and 100% support that.
Appreciate it.
Bringing me to the next question. I know that you're early on in this process, but like, really, how do you measure the impact that the Hype Foundation is having towards these teenagers? Is there any like success story that you can share with me from, not being in it really that long? Like, do you have something to speak about with them?
Man, that is tough. It's tough right now to measure our impact, and we're in such an early stage, so I'm not really. It's definitely something that I stress about, right? Because I want to be impactful. And I don't want to be fake impactful. I don't want to say that we impacted 2 million kids and we didn't do shit. Like, I really want to impact 2 million kids, and those 2 million kids feel it. Um, the kids that we work with right now, you know, I've asked them periodically like what they've learned, and I always ask them for one thing, and their response is always just one thing, like, and so I know that it's working. And so that's kind of, we're doing a case study on some of the kids that we work with to prove that, just being around them, we help them, without even curriculum. And then, as we go into schools, that's how we'll measure impact, and we'll have testimonials and kids that are, our hyped huddles and the hyped fests. That's how we'll really measure if we're impacting them. And asking their parents too. I really want to get into that, like asking the parents, because the thing is
They'll notice change. They'll
yeah.
definitely notice change.
And I'm not interested, like I just said, in fake numbers. Like, because we're not proving anything. Like, we don't need to be the number one brand to help kids. We just need to have the most impact with the kids we work with. And that creates, a trickle effect, and will help hundreds of thousands of kids eventually. And when it's real and authentic, it's just gonna be more powerful, right? Because then those kids are gonna go out and they're gonna tell their friends, like, oh, like, have you heard of the Hype Foundation? Like, no, you don't know the Hype Foundation? Like,
No
oh,
doubt.
okay. And so that's the kind of impact we want to have. But the kids we're working with already, I ask them probably every other week, what they've learned or what they're getting out of this, just to make sure that we're still, working with them on the right things. And another thing too, with the bigger group of kids we work with, is, there's probably about 100 of them, I would say, on average, every Sunday we work with them. And just like I don't know how to say that, the love that they have for us being there is real special. Like, is real noticeable. Is real that there's other leaders there with me, and they focus on us. And so that's super cool. That's, just something that you realize, and you're like, okay, this is, our presence is impacting these kids, and we just need to keep doing it. And now we need to do it more and at a bigger level. And how do we get into schools and stuff like that? And so, yeah, I think at the early stages, really, it'll just be like case studies, testimonials. I have a kid that I helped probably about 5 years ago. As a part of the start of my journey, he told me that I changed his life in 2.5 days, which was unbelievable to even hear. But anyways, we've kept in contact. He's about 23 now, I think 22, and he was just struggling. He called me, and he was like, "Man, I've only called you and my dad, and I'm an alcoholic right now, and I've lost everything." And so, anyways, we had like a 30-45 minute conversation, and I just kind of gave him practical perspective. I was like, "Listen, dude, if like this is the lowest part of your life, like you're already winning, so you're gonna go up a mountain." And two, we just need to figure out the things that you really want, you really want to focus on in life. And that's like 3 weeks ago we had that conversation, and honestly I felt honored that he would even reach out to me, right? Me and his dad were the only people he told, and that's something special that I really, when you're honored, and people tell you stuff and you tell them like, hey, like, thank you for telling me this, like I appreciate this so much, like that's something that is really special, and not a lot of people have. And he's already crushing it. He hasn't drank. It's been, I think, 3 or 4 weeks maybe. He went out to the bar this weekend with his buddy and didn't drink. And so, that's the kind of impact that'll go everywhere, right? Once we get to a bigger level of helping these kids.
And that's absolutely true. And, we talk about this all the time. When you actually make a difference in somebody's life or in people's life, or you have a career that, is all about giving back, right?
Yeah.
Every time you impact somebody, like that sense of feeling that you feel, there's nothing else that can simulate that. Yep. It's like just changing somebody's day can change your whole outlook on one situation, let alone every situation. And it's absolutely amazing. So, challenges faced with your nonprofit, and specifically in terms of the funding and outreach, tell me the struggles that you've been feeling with that, and, like, what's been the most challenging about it? Like, why are we where we are?
Yeah. Raising money, dude. Raising money is super tough because a lot of people want monetary gains. They want something in return when they're donating, or I guess giving money. It's interesting. It's an interesting psychology that I was kind of naive to, which is okay as part of the journey, right? I have to learn that. I did sales for 9 years, but this is a different type of selling. Not necessarily fully, but we don't, since we're not in schools, we don't have like a ton of proof. Now, when I'm in front of someone, physically in person, that person believes that we're going to impact kids, and we're already impacting kids. But online and stuff, it's been difficult for sure, especially launching our project. That was interesting because I really thought we were going to get more support, and we didn't. And that was honestly my fault for having expectations. But, there's this interesting thing in Web3 where like people want to push the space forward, but they're kind of just full of shit. And I'm like, I just want everybody to be awesome, that I'm like so hopeful that I just had this hope, and it just didn't turn out to be. We sold, I think we've sold 290 something, and I'm grateful for every single person, and we are moving forward. Is the money we needed? No. But is it what we have now? Yes. And so what we're focused on now is like going into businesses. Like I'm just going and door knocking businesses and walking into every business in Las Vegas and seeing if we can raise money, right? With throwing events that are cheap, right? With the hyped huddles or whatever. It's like, if I can get the venue donated from whoever the place is, that's the type of stuff we have to save money on, and collabing and having connections in Las Vegas, and really just asking everybody for money. Like it's one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do, because it's just an interesting thing, right? To ask somebody for money to support your cause. But it's like, I just have to be unapologetic about it. Like, listen, like you can either donate or not donate, but I need you to donate. This is what we're doing, and I educate them and have my whole, conversation with them. Can you donate? Right? If they say no, like it is what it is, right? They can't donate, you just move on. And that was something that is hard, right? It's hard because I believe so much in it, right? And the people that really ride with us and rock with us really believe that it's gonna work. And so just got to keep pushing. It's it takes one person. If I meet one rich person randomly and they want to donate a ton of money, like that could completely transform our foundation, right? If we can raise $100,000 from a grant, that can completely transform our foundation. And so it's just pushing. It's just keep pushing and learning and growing, and celebrating small wins. I think that's probably been one of the most important things about this journey, is like celebrating small wins, because it can be a real dark place, right? When you're an entrepreneur and you're running your own thing, and you're the last line of defense. And right, my wife can only do so much. She can only support me so much because she doesn't know everything that's going on, right? Like, we are very communicative, but at the end of the day, she doesn't know how to run a foundation. She doesn't know any of this. And so back against the wall, it's me. And so I've just had to keep getting stronger and stronger. And yeah, man, it's been tough. And luckily, like, I have so many people in my life that are, I have this lady from our church that has a nonprofit for the last 8 years, and her nonprofit is called Power to Parent. It's about educating parents on the different things that are taught in schools. And, she's been on this journey. Like, she was through this journey. She lived through this journey. And, I one of her kids, his name is Cooper. I work with him. He's in 9th grade. And, he asked me about the foundation and how it's going. And he'll be like, man, I remember when my mom was here. And he's like, you're just, some good stuff's going to come, and you're going to get through it. And so, like, when, you have a kid say that to you, it's like, it's really special. And so, I tell people, like I said earlier, like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to keep pushing and keep being relentless and hitting up every single person I know to see if we can raise money to help these kids, because this is serious. Like, 1.7 million kids attempted suicide in 2021. Like, that is absurd. I don't even want to know the numbers that didn't participate in that survey, but 9% of high school students, and then 20%, I think it's like 19.8%, thought about suicide very strongly. That's like 3 million kids. And so the numbers, like, yeah, those are powerful numbers, but it's more than that, right? It's because there's so many kids that won't share that information. And so that's the battle that we're facing, is like, these kids are broken, or at least they feel, and they feel like there's something wrong with them. That's a big thing that I haven't touched on from the questions that you've asked me, but a lot of kids feel like there's something wrong with them and they need to be fixed. And even adults feel that way. But it's like, no, like, there's nothing wrong with you. We just need to work on some different things and elevate you and teach you some things and educate, and you'll get there, right? There's nothing wrong with you. And so, yeah, anyways, in a roundabout way, it's tough, man. It's just ups and downs. It's like the biggest battle that I have, honestly, is feeling like I'm letting my family down. And that's something that's really tough. But I just honestly just know that I'm not. Like, I'm just doing something that I believe the world needs, and I hope that we get there. And I think we're going to get there. I just don't know how it's going to go.
I can imagine feeling that, but you're going to get there. Absolutely, 100%. I don't know what the path you're going to take, but you're going to get there. And you're right. Listen, we're part of Web3, and the people are so full of shit. Like, it's so disheartening, and we all felt a certain kind of way when we saw this project not mint out. Like, I fully expected it to mint out. Other people fully expected it to mint out. I was FOMOing because I thought I lost my opportunity because I figured it would go too quick and I was at work, and you were like, wait, you can still get it. And I was like, hell yeah. And I got it. Like, and you made it so easy, the credit card transactions, all of that. It just opened up doors. So you did say,
sorry, before you ask the next question, what was something that's very tough for me is people in this space that said they were going to buy and like gave me their word and then didn't buy. And that's hard for me, because if I go to an IRL event, like, I'm just so honest that I'm just going to be like, yeah, like, not like in a rude way, but like, you said you're going to buy or at least support our foundation and you didn't, and you couldn't even like retweet my tweet. And so it's like, I have nothing but love for you. I have no animosity, but I can't, I've done in my life, I've eliminated those people. And so like, I just can't be around people like that, because that's not a part of what we're doing here at the foundation. And so that was one of the hardest things, was to like have this hope that the people that said they were going to do something would do it, and then they didn't. And then seeing some of them in person was just like, yeah, like, I've already saw a few of them and was just like, I just don't even know what to say, because I'm not like, my purpose would never be to be rude, but it would be to say to them like, hey, you said this and you didn't do this, and so unfortunately, like, that's not what we preach at our foundation.
Listen, I don't want you to like get into that too deep, but I'm gonna tell you from an outsider, like, I felt a certain type of way, and because of you, I stayed positive about it. But when someone says that they're gonna do something and they don't do it, and it leads to it's transparency. It's all there. We can
Yeah.
all see it. We know who said what and when they said it. And
Yeah.
the thing that's the most hurtful about it is these people called themselves our friends.
Yeah.
It
That's the
wasn't
worst.
just that they were followers. They actually thought and called themselves our friends, and we believed that they were our friends.
Yeah.
Not that, like, there's just some mutual people in there that I'm aware of and I'm
Yeah.
speaking
Yeah.
of, and I may end up cutting this part out
Yeah.
because
It's fine.
we don't want
Yeah.
to, do that. But it just hurts. And
Yeah. It's tough, dude.
if it wasn't for what you said in that one where you went live and you were like, I'm going to close down this room if we don't get enough people, and enough people went, you just launched a space,
Yeah.
period. Like, it was just like out of the blue. You launched it. Like, I don't even know if
Yeah.
it was really scheduled.
Yeah. I remember
And
that.
then it got slammed with people. There was tons of
Yeah.
people in there. But from my heart, like, we're all out here buying stupid fucking JPEGs
Yeah.
that are of no goddamn value 6 months from now with no real utility. And here you are trying to create utility for teens
Yeah.
by doing this, and it's still sitting in the 290s.
Yeah. And so
So
the thing is like, you guys, it's like people want to push this space forward, but they just actually don't. And so that was something that I realized, like through those ups and downs of the mint. And I just was like, you know what, like, it still hurts, right? I wouldn't deny that. I can't even lie about that. It definitely still hurts to see those accounts, but I'm just like, man, we're just gonna ride. Like, that's fine, dude. I'm just gonna take the 220 people that have fucking believed in me, and we're gonna ride. And like, I promise you, this is gonna work out, and the foundation is gonna be huge. And these people that were invested in first were the founding investors into the Hype Foundation to make change in the world. And when we blow up and bring Web 2 to Web 3 in the best way possible, at that point, it's not going to be like I told you so. It's going to be like, here, take my hand and let's do this the right way, because I'm done like, there's no talking about it. Like, we're going to actually do this thing, and we're going to make this place better and the world better.
So for those that may have missed out, is the mint still live? Is there an opportunity for them to get involved, and where do they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. The hypefoundation.org it's right on the front page to
I
say
just
if you want to
posted it
mint.
down below too.
Yeah. Thank you for that, for sure. Yeah, so you can mint, and if you don't want to mint, if you don't want a digital piece of art, that's fine. You can just donate. It's at the top right of the page, and anything helps, right? If you don't have I think it's like $95 to purchase the NFT. If you don't have that, you could donate $1, $5, $20. It doesn't matter. You could set up a monthly donation. That would be appreciative. Anything helps. For every $100, we can impact 14 kids. And so if this thing mints out at 1750, the collection size, we can impact 25,000 kids. And to be honest, like, I think it's gonna be more than 25,000, right? For me, I'm a big dreamer. I'm a big goal setter, and I would have loved to put like 100,000, but I was like, you know what? Let's put this, and let's see what we can do. But it's like, you know what? It didn't sell out, and it could still, right? I'm still, hopeful, and anything could happen. But it's like, no. Now I need to do the real dirt work, to really go into businesses and raise money here locally in Las Vegas, and just be grateful for the community that we have already.
So, is there anything special about the NFT? I know that it's a banner. Does it help your community of people that have minted it? How do they become a part of the Hype Foundation? Is there anything that they actually get or able to contribute to help you in any way?
Yeah, so everybody that mints gets an on-chain tax receipt. So it'll be the first on-chain tax receipt ever for donating to a nonprofit foundation, and so you can write that off next year on your taxes or whatever. Whenever you purchase, you can write that off. And so that's just one thing that we wanted to be innovative, right? Like, we understand that we're a nonprofit raising money through a digital collectible, but we want to provide some level of value, right? We don't want to provide any speculation on the price. We don't want to provide any hopes and dreams that we're going to provide to people, but we can provide an on-chain tax receipt, and that's the first to ever do it. And so that's kind of our pushing this space forward in a real, genuine, authentic, transparent way. And so you get that, you get the banner, and you get to be a part of the community. And I think something that's super powerful is that we have people everywhere. We have people in different countries. We have people in different states that are motivated to help teenagers, and not just is incredible because, like normally when you're starting a nonprofit, you bootstrap it in the city you're in or wherever you're located. And I kind of did the reverse of that. We were like, let's go to Web3 first. And let's get this to other people in different places. And then let's go to Vegas. And so now we're in the process of really raising funds here. But yes, that's what you get from minting. And the artwork is incredible for sure. The artwork's super cool.
It's dope. What opportunities are there for volunteers or community members that might want to get involved with the Hype Foundation? I had a couple of friends ask me if you have a way for them to get in touch with you to see if they could volunteer since they couldn't, afford at the time to.
Yeah. So absolutely. So right now, really our mission to get people that want to help out is kind of to donate their skills. And if we can put together a list of people that are donating their skills, let's say once to twice a month or something like that, and we can get that up to like $10,000, then I can take that to any company. I could take it to Walmart and I could be like, hey, look, like we haven't raised a bunch of money, but we have 100 people in our community donating $15,000 worth of their skill every single month for free because they just want to help us. They just want to help us with our mission. And that's something that's truly powerful. So I would say if for anybody that can't purchase, that doesn't have the funds to donate a skill, to reach out to me. And like we could put something together, because it could be like maybe you charge someone $500 an hour for a call, right? That could be value for the foundation. And that could be something I can put on an Excel sheet and provide to businesses. And, if I get 20 businesses on $500 a month, right, that's a good amount of money every single month. And so that's the types of things that can contribute to that.
Absolutely. I never even thought that it could help in that way. So I just learned something new, and that's great.
Yeah. Luckily, I have this lady named Liz who's absolutely a phenomenal person. She actually spoke at VeeCon as well, and she has raised millions of dollars for her foundation. And so she is kind of mentoring me in that. And so we have so many, I have so many ideas besides what I've just said today on this, but it's a lot, right? I'm just one guy. And so that's where getting the community involved and having people that will volunteer for stuff will really help us push this thing forward.
What are your long-term goals for the Hype Foundation? How do you plan on expanding over, say, the next 5 years? And how are you going to make this, like, your intent to make it a household name? Because I believe in this. I believe you can do it. I know you've touched on some of these topics, but just pretty much tell me, like, your biggest wish for the foundation and how you imagine getting there.
My biggest wishes for the foundation, man, would be in every single public and charter high school. Private schools are difficult, but let's say public and charter school in the world, and magnet school in the US for sure. Impact at least 100,000 kids a year. That would be a goal for sure. That's a goal within a year and a half or 2 years is to impact 100,000 kids, and to build a community that really believes in our mission, that lives this way, really to create better parents, better teachers, better kids. And that starts with leading by example, and that'll get us to the places where we impact the entire world, because the other kids will start impacting the other kids because of the way that they carry themselves. And that's kind of the mission, is to have a bunch of little agents of change. I don't know why I call the kids little, but a bunch of agents of change all around the world doing their thing, preaching the Hype Foundation's mission and what we've educated kids with. And that'll create a better world, I think.
Absolutely. I love that. And no better way to close this show than, a better world, right? Like, that's what we're, this is all about, is making, positivity louder, creating a better world for all of us, not just the teens, but with a focus on them and helping them get through their struggles. Dom, I really want to thank you and say Happy New Year again. It has been a pleasure to host you, and I can't wait for, this to hit the world and people to see what you're all about and what they're missing out on. I appreciate it, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.